Welcome to the Baffled Brain, Demystifying Dementia, your daily podcast that will teach you everything you need to know about dementia. At Think Different Dementia, we know that dementia seems complex and challenging to manage, but we also know with the right tools at the right time, dementia is made simple. I am your host, Lizette from Think Different Dementia, where we believe you're only one technique, the right technique, away from thriving and not just surviving your dementia journey. So please like this video, please subscribe to the podcast, and please share these videos with your friends and families so that we together can thrive and not just survive your dementia journey. So welcome to today's program. Well, welcome back. It is October the 29th, and what a wonderful guest we had yesterday. Thank you so much for being on the program. Today is episode 53 of the Baffled Brain, Demystifying Dementia, and we're going to do a quick little recap before I get into today's program. We started a new format around the 16th of October, where I've been going over the analogy of an airplane to help us understand and make dementia simple. And today's episode is going to probably be a little shorter, so I thought I would recap things real quick for everybody. We talked about how the first part of the plane was the body of the plane, that there was a cockpit, a cabin, and cargo, that in the cockpit we have the pilot and the co-pilot, and how that relates to dementia. We talked about the cabin. Inside the cabin, we have the passengers and who the passengers are and where they belong in this journey, how they can help us, how they can hinder us if we don't have the right people in the cabin. We talked about the cargo or the baggage that's inside the airplane, that's inside the baggage hold, which includes dementia, the dementia process, staging of dementia, all of those different types of things. I've had a couple of guests on. One was my sister, where we talked about a couple of different things there too, and how to think differently about dementia. We've also gone into, how the engines work, what the engines are, how it moves the plane forward, the right engine, the left engine, being developmental processes, both cognitive and physical, and how that relates to dementia. We've also looked at what stabilizes a dementia plane, what the stabilizers are, how we can control things, and how to look at turbulence and try to minimize things that cause turbulence in a person with dementia's life. We have looked at the wings on the airplane, what creates the lift on the plane, using the nuts and bolts of a therapy world to make it easier, giving us lift in the process, lots of different therapy strategies. We're going to continue to unpack those in the several next weeks and months. I started with some occupational therapy strategies just because that's where I am, that's the world I live in. And then we talked about the slats. What are the slats? How do slats work in creating lift during takeoff and landing to prevent lift and drag in the process of takeoff and landing? And what I put in that part of it is some things like gizmos and gadgets, and we're going to continue to expand the repertoire. We're going to continue to add things into each of these different sections as I continue to develop this analogy over time to make it easier for people to understand dementia. Which brings us to today's episode, and thank you for being here today. We have two more of these introductory videos, and then we will be back a little bit more in a question-answer format, like I said, with guests once a week. I'm going to add guests, and we're going to continue to expand and grow this over time, because it is a time-based process, right? So today we're going to talk about elevators, and I'm not talking about the elevators that take you up and down in a building, even though they probably do the same thing. We're going to talk about the elevators of a plane. What are the elevators? It helps bring things up and down. And so in this section, I added for people's benefit, what I put in here are two things. I put in spiritual care and I put in self-care. So both of these things can change our direction either up or down. And I am open that I am a Reformed Christian. That is my worldview, that all of my questions I have to answer from my background and from my belief system. And I'm never saying these things to be insensitive. It's just what I believe. Everybody believes something, and we all believe different things. Even if you believe differently from me, that doesn't mean that I'm not open to talking to you about it. I'm just open about the fact that I come from a Christian worldview, and that my worldview is always going to color the questions that I answer and how I answer the questions. So never meant to be offensive, but meant to be educational. And I'm at least open about the fact of where I come from. So if you differ with me, I beg you to not consider leaving just because I say something that is different than what you believe. The information I share is always shared out of a perspective of love, a love for my neighbor, and a love for people with dementia. So what do I include in the elevators? And the reason I bring up my background regarding my faith, because it is my faith, right, is because spiritual care is part of the elevator in my dementia journey, my flight, my analogy. And I've also included self-care and self-care strategies. But spiritual care is vastly important. We are created beings. We all have a beginning. We are finite from this perspective of we have a starting point. God is eternal. He has always been, but all of us have a beginning in time. Like my beginning in time is the 19th of September, 1970, at whatever time of day I was born. So I have a beginning, but we all are created beings that have a never dying soul. And so our spiritual care is extremely important in this dementia journey, in this process that we are on. And everybody has a never dying soul. Regardless of what a person's belief system is, the Bible teaches that all of us have a never dying soul. And so spiritual care is extremely important to me in keeping my own health and abilities, but in everyone when we are working with people with dementia. Then the other side of this is self-care strategies. And I started with spiritual first because I think that is the more important part of it. If you take care of your spiritual being, your self-care follows. And self-care strategies, we will talk about pragmatic self-care strategies, things like breathing techniques and how to build in respite and how to take care of yourself and how to get your siblings on board and how to get, where to look for all of the different types of resources for your own self-care strategies. Because if you don't take care as a care partner in this journey on this dementia flight, if you don't take care of yourself as the person helping someone with dementia, then you are going to burn out. And this falls so well into my analogy, and I've used it before in a lot of my other broadcasts before I changed to this format, that when you've ever been on an airplane and the airplane, the ladies in the front, the gentlemen too, the people who are giving us the instructions, the flight attendants with the safety cards always say, what do they say? If the airplane is getting ready to go down and the oxygen masks fall from the ceiling and you are flying with a person who requires care, what are you supposed to do? Do you put it on the person who needs care first, or do you put it on yourself, and why? You put it on yourself first. And the reason for that is because people, if you put it on the child or the person who needs help first and they cannot help you, then if you haven't had enough time to put it on yourself, you're toast. And so you always have to take care of yourself first. You only can give out of abundance. And so when we're helping people with dementia, when we're care partners in a long journey, because it's a marathon, guys, it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. We have to build in these self-care strategies from the beginning. We have to teach you from the beginning to put your own safety, your oxygen mask on first. And we do this through self-care strategies. And self-care strategies are extremely important in the dementia journey. Respite care, how to find respite care, what kinds of ideas. We'll get people on talking about hospice and palliative care and all of these different types of things. We're going to talk about spiritual care. We're going to talk about all of these things that I include under the elevators in how to keep things stable as we're moving up and down in this journey so we don't have a lot of turbulence. And so we are almost at the end of the introductory series, for lack of a better word, of why I use the analogy of an airplane to teach people self-care strategies and spiritual strategies and strategies on managing challenging behaviors and all of these different pieces of the airplane. And I love that you guys are here. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel called Think Different Dementia. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Baffled Brain Demystifying Dementia on whatever podcast platform you're on. And please like, share, and join my Facebook group called Think Different Dementia Education Group, where my sole purpose is to nurture people, to dialogue with people. I answer questions in that format. I will be going back to answering questions on this live stream, actually this podcast, and I am super grateful for you being here today, and thank you for joining me. Today is October the 29th. This is episode 53 of the Baffled Brain Demystifying Dementia, where we're going to continue to educate and teach and love on you for as long as you will allow me. And as always, the Lord bless you and keep you. Now, you know why I say that every single time. I do pray for you guys. Thank you for joining me today.